Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a Batman statue from Batman vs Superman. I know that this tutorial is a couple of days late, but better late than never. And I do also want to point out that this statue isn't designed to be made alone. It is designed to be made in conjunction with Superman as well. I would highly recommend making these statues as a pair. I think that they go quite nicely together, so no matter who you may have been rooting for, Batman or Superman, I think that both of them go together quite nicely. By the way, the Superman tutorial won't be out the same day as this Batman tutorial. It is going to come the day after, so once a day has passed, feel free to check out the card system and check out the description for the link to the Superman tutorial video. So remember, he's not going to be out the same day as Batman. Batman's coming first. Check the day after on the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. That's an easier way to keep track of things, and you'll be able to make both of these guys. But that's more than enough talking. Why don't we begin the tutorial? So to make Batman, these are the materials that you will be needing. Grab some polished andesite. Flip down, grab yourself some cyan stained clay. Also grab white stained clay. Flip over, grab yourself some black wool, dark grey wool, light grey wool. Also grab a white wool, and those are the only materials that we're going to be needing for now. And I would highly suggest moving the white stained clay away from the polished andesite, cyan stained clay, black wool, grey wool. We want all of those together because they're going to be paired in making the statue. So once you have each one of those materials right there, and once you've jumbled them around a little bit, and once you've figured out where you want to make it, I'll be making it right here. And remember, I would leave enough room to have Batman and Superman facing off against each other. So when you are picking a placement, make sure you have enough room if that's what you want to do. I'm going to be making it right here. Once you've figured all of that out, you're going to want to kick off the statue with this sequence of blocks on the ground. Do 1 cyan stained clay, 2 black wool, 2 cyan stained clay, 2 black wool, 1 cyan stained clay, and that is the first row of the feet of Batman. For the next row, going from left to right, do dark grey wool, 2 cyan stained clay, 2 dark grey, 2 cyan stained clay, 1 dark grey. For the next row, do 1 dark grey, 2 black wool, 2 cyan clay, 2 black wool, 1 dark grey. For the next row, do 1 dark grey, 2 cyan stained clay, 2 light grey, 2 cyan stained clay, 1 dark grey. For the next row, do 1 cyan stained clay, 2 black wool, followed by 2 cyan stained clay, 2 black wool, 1 cyan stained clay. For the next row, do 1 black wool, 2 andesite, 2 black wool, 2 andesite, 1 black wool. For the next row, do 1 dark grey, 2 black wool, 2 light grey, 2 black wool, 1 dark grey. For the next row, do 1 dark grey, 2 cyan clay, 2 dark grey, 2 cyan clay, 1 dark grey. Now for the next 2 rows, this is 2 rows, do 1 dark grey, then 1 cyan stained clay, 1 black wool, 2 cyan clay, 1 black wool, 1 cyan clay, 1 dark grey. And remember, that's for 2 rows. So whatever you do to that row, do the exact same thing to the one just above it, like that. For the next row, do 1 dark grey, 2 black wool, 2 cyan clay, 2 black wool, 1 dark grey. For the next row, do 2 andesite, 1 black, 2 andesite, 1 black, 2 andesite. And once you've got that row completed, you actually want to do the exact same thing for the next row. You want to have that exact same thing for 2 rows. So once you've done that once, do the same thing on top of it. For the next row, then do 2 black wool, 4 dark grey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 black wool. For the next row, do 2 dark grey, 4 light grey, 2 dark grey. For the next row, do an entire row of black wool. For the next row, do 2 cyan, then 5 light grey, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then do 1 dark grey. For the next row, do 1 dark grey, 2 cyan, 2 dark grey, 2 light grey, 1 dark grey. For the next row, do 2 black wool, 2 cyan, 4 black wool. 1, 2, 3, 4. For the next row, do 3 dark grey, that's 1, 2, 3. Then 2 cyan, then 3 dark grey. For the next row, do 1 dark grey, 3 light grey, 2 cyan, 1 light grey, 1 dark grey. For the next row, do 1 dark grey, 2 light grey, then do 2 black wool, 2 cyan, 1 dark grey. And for the final row of Batman's torso, you want to do 1 dark grey, 1 light grey, 4 black wool, followed by 2 cyan stained clay, but we're not finished. Continuing to go right of that cyan stained clay, do 4 dark grey wool, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then underneath this row, going from left to right, do 3 light grey, that's 1, 2, 3, 1 dark grey. For the next row, do 1 dark grey, 2 light grey, 1 dark grey. For the next row, do 1 cyan, 1 dark grey, then do 1 light grey, 1 dark grey. For the next row, do 1 black wool, 1 cyan, then do 2 dark grey. For the next row, do 2 black wool, 2 cyan. For the next row, do 3 black wool, then 1 cyan. For the next row, do an entire row of black wool. For the next row, an entire row of cyan stained clay. For the next row, do 1 cyan stained clay, 2 light grey, 1 cyan clay. Then for the final 2 rows of the arm, do 1 dark grey, 2 black, 1 dark grey. And like I said, that's for the final 2 rows. So once you've done that to 1 row, do the exact same thing down below. And what you'll end up with, ladies and gentlemen, is something that should look a little bit like this. And there you go. That's what you want to have. Now, once you've reached this point right here, this is what you want to do next. So here is where we would usually do the back of the statue, but we're not going to be doing that this time. First of all, we're going to be focusing on the head, so come all the way up to the very top of the torso, and on top of these 8 original blocks of the torso, so not these 4 extended dark greys out here, you want to stack a row of 8 cyan stained clay directly on top of the 8 original blocks of the torso, so like this. Then extend this row coming out of the front of the statue by 2 rows, so that'll be 1 row, and 2 rows. On top of this second row, going from left to right, do 1 cyan stained clay, then 6 dark grey, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1 cyan stained clay. For the next row, do 1 cyan, 1 dark grey, 4 white clay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 dark grey, 1 cyan clay. For the next row, do 1 cyan, 2 white clay, 2 cyan, 2 white clay, 1 cyan. For the next row, do an entire row of cyan stained clay. For the next row, do 1 cyan stained clay, then 2 white wool, 2 cyan stained clay, 2 white wool, 1 cyan stained clay. And I will point out that the white eyes, not necessary. Maybe cyan or light blue is a little bit closer to the actual movie. You might want to go with like cyan or light blue instead, because the eyes do look a little bit bluey. But I personally prefer the white, so you can change it as you like. But if you want to go a bit more accurate to the film, you might want to go with a blue instead. For the next row, do an entire row of cyan stained clay. And for the final row of the head here, you want to do 2 cyan stained clay, then 4 dark grey, 2 cyan stained clay. But that's not really the final row of the head. So obviously Batman has those big giant pointy horns on the top of his helmet, so you want to, on top of each one of the 2 cyans that we have at the top of the head, you want to stack another row of cyan stained clay, and then on the outer cyan stained clays you want to stack an additional clay, so you kind of want to have the pointy ear effect. And what we can also do now is, coming to the back of the head, we want to take this very back row of cyan stained clay here, and we want to drag it across the back of the statue by 5 rows. So it'll look like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we want to do this with every single row. And what we're then going to do is we're going to take the back 2 corners of the head. We're going to raise them up like this. Now that we have all our 5 rows, we're going to raise them up until they are equal height with the top 2 front corners of the head. We're going to raise them up, connect them to each other, connect them together, and we'll end up with a nice cyan stained cube shape. And what we also want to do, can you see where we have like the back of the like bat horns, the bat ears? Just add an additional layer of cyan stained clay behind these, and that will just kind of like bolster them. It'll make it look a little bit more horn-like, a little bit more realistic, really, is what we're going for. I know that they're supposed to kind of like be bat ears. I know that they're not supposed to be horns, but they look more like horns to me, to be honest. I've always thought that. I've never thought that they actually look like ears. They look a lot more like horns. So I know that that's what they're supposed to be, but I like to imagine them as horns. I imagine that if he wanted to, he could probably poke somebody's eye out with those 2 things right there, especially in the actual proper mech bat suit, in which I imagine they're metal. And it will probably hurt quite a bit. If not poke an eye out, it would definitely irritate you enough to want to give them a bit of a smack. So you want to have something which should look a little bit like this. So we kind of like have like a floating head on a 2D body, and it's looking a little bit creepy, to tell you guys the truth. So what do you want to do next? It's quite simple. You see the sides of the statue here? Well, what we want to do is we want to take each one of the blocks of the side of the statue and we want to extend them coming out of the back of the statue each by 3. And the way that we want to do this, for instance, you see at the bottom here where we have cyan stained clay. Come back by 3 with your cyan stained clay. So we want to match this material, 1, 2, 3. Then you can see for this next row, we have a load of dark grey wool. We want to come back by 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You can see where we have cyan stained clay. Do cyan stained clay. You can see this black wool. Extend it back by 3. So on and so forth until you have added all of these individual layers of the materials coming back towards where the back of the statue is going to be. So the reason that we're doing it this way is because we don't have to actually make a back of the statue, because Batman's cloak is going to be hiding it. So all we have to do is make a little bit, just a little bit of the back of the statue. We don't have to do very much, and that's pretty much all we're doing now. So we've done one side, and we're now doing the opposite side. So the only challenge with this opposite side here is that we also have to do the side of the arm, but that's not really a challenge. We're still doing the exact same thing. So whatever colours you have for the side of the arm, we're going to match onto the back. So you can see here where we have this, we want to match this, coming back by 3, where you have black for the hands, you want to come back by 3, where you have dark grey, etc, etc. So it's the exact same thing, just moving up the arm. We do have to make a back of the arm though, like we have to do the back of this arm, I believe. I really should have took a picture of the back of the statue, that would have been clever of me, but we also have to do the top of the arm, and obviously where it comes up to the head, just match the colour, but you want to end up with something that should look a little bit like this. And whilst we are here, just to make sure, come round to the back of the arm, and whatever you have on the front of the arm, copy onto the back. So that should be quite easy for you. Just look literally directly forward at what you did for the front of the arm, copy it onto the back of the arm. It shouldn't be too difficult for you to do whatsoever. It doesn't even require any plans. I'm not looking at mine, I'm just looking at the front of the arm, and I know that that's light grey wool, don't I? So it'll look a little something like this. There we go. Now, why don't we actually do let's do this. So Batman wears a cloak, we know that. It's nice, it's big, it's a bit tattered. Come to the front of the statue and come all the way down to the bottom left hand side, the back of the bottom left hand side. We actually want to be one diagonal block out of the back left hand bottom corner of the statue, so this block right here. And coming up from this block, we want to do a row of 4 black wool. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Do an up left diagonal. Then go up by 3. 1, 2, 3. Do an up left diagonal. Go up by 3. 1, 2, 3. Do an up left diagonal. And from this, we now want to go up, and we want to come all the way up until it is equal height with the side of the statue here. So it wants to come up about this far. You want to have this sort of row. Do that on one side, do it on the opposite side. So on the opposite side, coming out of this back corner, we want to come up by 4 with the black wool. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Do an upright diagonal. Up by 3. 1, 2, 3. Upright diagonal. Up by 3. 1, 2, and 3. Then we want to do an up right diagonal, which is this position right here. And then we want to come all the way up to the top of the back of the arm. And we actually want to have the cloak resting on top of the shoulder. It wants to rest on top of the shoulder like this. So, just to show you, it kind of wants to form this shape right here. Can you see? It kind of wants to form like an L shape. Obviously, we can't do it on this side of the arm, but we can kind of emulate what we have to do. So, it will come like up an additional 1, and then it will come forward by 3. That's 1, 2, 3. And then it will come to kind of like here. Can you see? It comes to this position on this side, despite the fact that we don't have an arm, and it comes to that position on the other side, and we do have the arm. And what we then want to do, we just want to fill the cloak in. So we want to fill in the tops of the shoulders like this. So that's one side of the shoulder. This is going to be the opposite side of the shoulder. And then we just want to fill in the cloak. So let's get this cracking. Once we've filled in the cloak, we can give Batman his other arm. I know that this is a bit of a weird tutorial. We don't usually do things in this order, but usually statues have backs to them, and usually statues aren't holding like guns out in front of them in their hands. So this is a bit of a different kind of statue, so obviously we're building it in a bit of a different way, and that is all we have left to do. We have Batman holding a gun out in front of his body, and that's what we have left to make. It's not so difficult. It's actually quite easy to do this because Batman's arms are easy. It makes everything easy. But you're going to see the cloak looking a little bit like Count Dracula. We'll have a look at this in just a moment, won't we? We've just got to fill the rest of this in. And this is why we didn't have to bother building the back of the statue. Why bother? There's no point, is there? So we want to have something which should look a little bit like this. And you can see how it's shaped. You can see how it's a bit jagged and torn. Now, once you've got that taken care of, this is what you want to do next. Let me have a look here. Let's have a look at the old plans. So, coming to this block right here, can you see underneath the cloak? Well, from this block, we want to do a row of 4 dark grey wool coming out of the side of the statue. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you then want to do is you kind of just want to fill in rows of dark grey coming out in front of the statue. And you want to do 1 row of dark grey, 2 rows of dark grey, and you want to stop. So it wants to come in line with the black wool. Then, coming out from this row closest to the statue, coming out in front, you want to, going right of this inside dark grey block, you want to do 1 cyan, followed by 4 black wool, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, followed by 2 cyan, then 2 dark grey wool. Then, for this next row, going from left to right in front of this, we want to do 1 dark grey, 1 cyan, 3 black wool. We then want to do 2 cyan, then 2 dark grey. For this next row, we want to do 1 light grey, 1 dark grey, 1 cyan, then 2 black wool. We then want to do 2 cyan, then 2 dark grey. For this next row, do 2 dark grey, then 2 cyan, 1 black wool, then 2 cyan, 2 dark grey, to give you this shape. Once you have that, the way that we're going to complete the rest of the arm is actually quite easy. So for the sides of the arm, all we have to do is extend down each one of these blocks by 3. So where you have dark grey wool, that will come down by 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth for each one of the other blocks. I'm sure that you guys can already figure out could have already figured out that we were going to be doing that, because we did that with the other arms, so I'm sure that you could already see this coming. So coming all the way down, coming across the side of the arm, you want to do that. And you also want to have the same thing on the opposite side. So on the opposite side, you want to have the same materials coming down by 3 as you have for the top layer. So whatever you have on the top layer, you want to apply down here by rows of 3. The very end of the arm, or the very end of the hand, you want to fill in with black wool like this, and you just want to like I said, you just want to have that filled in with black wool. You can then fill the under part of the hand in here with black wool as well, actually, because I just realized that I may have made the end part of the hand wrong. It doesn't matter that much, so you then also want to fill in black wool here, just coming in by 2. So can you see here, we want to have 2 black wool coming in from the bottom, 2 black wool on the end, and if you want, you can also correct this and you can place black wool here. It's covered up by the gun, which is why I got it wrong in the tutorial, but it's not a massive error. And then you can just fill in the bottom of the arm here with your materials. So we just want to have something. Actually, it wants to be the exact same as we have on top, which is, I don't know what I'm doing. For whatever reason, we've got to the end of the tutorial, and we've started making a bit of a mess of this, but we just want to copy what we have on the upper part of the tutorial, what we have on the upper part of this. So we just want to fill this in. It actually doesn't matter because you're not going to be seeing the under part of the arm very much, so it really doesn't matter too much what's under there, so as long as it makes sense, as long as you're not putting dark blue or anything like that. So once you've got that arm taken care of, we can now give Batman his gun. So to give Batman his gun, you want to be at the very end of the hand, and you want to be in line with these 2 middle black wools. So you're down 1 row, these 2 black middle wools. Focus on 1 black middle wool, actually, this one right here. Extend this out by 3 with your black, that's 1, 2, 3. Then come up on top of this black wool by 2. Come back towards the arm by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. By 7 with your black, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then do 2 upright diagonals from the 7th block, which will be 1 and 2. You then want to go right 1, do a bottom right diagonal. At the very end of the gun, you just want to add an additional 2 black wool on the end like that. You can then fill the center of the gun in with cyan stained clay or whatever material you may want. If you want it looking a little bit more realistic-y, I guess you'd use something like andesite, and that contrasts nicely with the actual armor. And once you've done that to 1 middle row, do the same thing to the opposite middle row. So add all of the black wool and all of the andesite, and you'll just end up with something that should look a little bit like this. And I didn't actually do this for the tutorial or for the actual original statue, but I did think it might be a little bit cool if I could find it. I always have trouble finding this particular material. I know it's in here somewhere. Oh no, here it is. So I might add some web, and I might use some, like, again, maybe some like polished andesite, and I think it'd be cool if we were actually firing something from the gun. I think that'd be cool if there was some kind of like firing pattern with the web, and maybe some sort of projectile, maybe like a polished andesite bullet or something. It might even be a bit bigger, it might be a bit pointier, or what, I don't know. And there would probably be a bigger explosion closer to the barrel, but you guys get the point. It might be cool if there was something actually being fired out of the gun, and I don't know, maybe add a bit more webbing at the end. I think that this fire pattern would be a bit different. I think it'd actually be a bit opposite. Does it start? Yeah, I think that it'd actually be bigger closer to the barrel, but I'm no expert, but I think that it actually looks kind of cooler like this. But I think it'd be cool if he was actually firing a projectile, because Superman is actually using his heat vision, so I think it'd be cool if Batman was doing his own thing. So if you just kind of want to make something like this with the web, and maybe just have some sort of projectile firing out, I think that that'd be cool, and Superman can actually meet him somewhere in the middle with his laser eyes. But that's the Batman statue. I think that's actually really, really nice. It's been a while since I have actually designed a superhero statue, so it's been quite kind of nice, actually. It's been kind of fun. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the statue. Hopefully you've managed to make it. You don't have to make Superman along with him, but I would highly recommend it. I think they come very nicely in a pair. If you have enjoyed the statue, if you have managed to make it, hopefully the tutorial hasn't been too crazy. I'd really appreciate it if you could give this video a like, please. If you would, favorite it, give it a share, why not? Comment down below, let me know, do you like this statue? Would you like to see some more? Would you potentially like to see Wonder Woman? I've done a Wonder Woman statue in the past, but I think I could probably do an updated version with maybe a sword, maybe a shield, who knows, that's fun. We'll have to see if you guys want it. Feel free to also subscribe if you haven't already. If you haven't joined the channel, why haven't you? There's no reason. We don't just do statues on this channel, we do all sorts. We do houses, we do vehicles, we do buildings, we do everything. We do a little bit of everything over here. Thank you very much for watching. Check out the card system tomorrow, check out the description tomorrow for Superman. This is a 2-part statue. If you have enjoyed this video, like, favorite, share if you wouldn't mind, subscribe if you haven't already, comment down below, check out the card system once again for Superman tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.